Yeah, that
go
worked out
play.
good.
Go play, honey.
So,
Okay.
this is the one I've worked on.
Okay.
Something I'm quite fond of so far. We'll see what you think. You look at that and see what you think it is.
It's a teeny baseball and a cup that looks dirty,
Yeah, it's probably a little dirty. Okay,
but solid.
all right. So it looks like a cup and a ball.
It is
But-
a cup and a ball.
Well, it's the illusion.
Oh.
You can't see what it really is because you're seeing it outside of its natural Arctic element. You see, this is actually a bear den.
A bear den.
A bear den. And this is actually a little white polar bear
Okay.
with red stitches. His name is Sammy.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
So this is Sammy. That's his bear den.
Uh-huh.
Sammy had a problem. Sammy lived in a world of fear. He was afraid to leave his den. He was especially afraid to go over to the meadow because that's where the Arctic foxes lived. And they like to run up behind him and yell, boo, and he'd run back to his den. Like, watch it. Boo. And, oh, there he went. Did you see him?
No.
Well, it's because he's a white polar bear, and on their white Arctic background, they're practically invisible. So, that was the life of sad little Sammy. Like he was even afraid to go over to the edge of the forest because just the wind rustling through the leaves would scare him. And there you go. Back to his den. Okay. So, anyway, see, Sammy's problem was Sammy was an orphan. And everything Sammy knew about himself and the world, the stupid Arctic foxes had told him. And that's why even just like a stern look would send Sammy scurrying right back to his den.
Cowardly bear.
Yeah. The den was the only place he really felt safe. Can you think you can give him a stern look, send him back to his den?
Yeah, 1 second.
No, come on. That's not a stern look. That wouldn't scare anybody back to their den. You try
Okay,
it.
I'm gonna try it. Looking at him.
Oh, there he went.
I didn't even do the eyebrow.
Where'd he go?
Oh, he went the long way.
He went the long way.
Yep. So, anyway, so that was the life of sad little Sammy. Just sitting there quaking in his den. Until one day, he's sitting there in his den. Nope. He's sitting there in his den, and the wise snow owl comes and lands on top of his den. And the snow owl says, Samson. And Sam says, who? And the owl says, who? And then shook it off, and it was a confusing moment. But anyway, it says, you must go down to the water and reflect. There you will find the truth. And Sammy said, but the snow oxes would eat me. He said, snow oxes? There's no such thing as snow oxes. Besides, the word is oxen. Where did you hear such nonsense? The Arctic foxen told me. Samson, your fear is your prison, and your den is your cell. You must go down to the water and reflect. So, Sammy goes down to the water. He's pretty scared. He's never been so far. So he goes all the way down to the water, and he looks over the edge, okay? And he peeks over into the water, and then he runs back because... and
I just saw it in your pocket. That's crazy.
And the owl said, Samson, what have you done? He says, well, I went down to the water, like you said, and I looked over the edge, and I saw something so scary. And he said, what? He's like, I think maybe I saw my father's ghost. And he says, Samson, that was not your father, and that was no ghost. You get your butt back down to the water, and you see. There you will find the truth. So Sammy goes back down to the water, And he goes and peeks over the edge. But this time he doesn't run back to his den. No. Sammy gets down into the water. And he swims around. And he plays all day. And at night, he walks back to his den in the middle of the night, slowly shaking his head from side to side. Because when Sammy learned something, when Sammy looked down into the water, he realized something. He wasn't seeing his father's image. When Sammy looked in the water, Sammy saw his own reflection. And Sammy was a full-grown freaking polar bear. And full-grown polar bears aren't scared of anything.
What?
Do you want polar bear shaped balls at some point?
No, these are pretty good.
Okay.
Holy hell.
Samson grew so big and strong that all the other polar bears were green with envy.
What?
So they were green with envy.
I swear, Jim, the cup looked normal.
And he had to go find a mate because out of all the local polar bears, not that he was prejudiced or anything, but green really wasn't his color. He didn't have a problem with green. What he had a problem with was envy. He didn't like envy. So he went and found him a white polar bear, and they had little baby polar bears, and they grew happily ever after.
Well, let me see the babies.
What the hell?
Dad,
What the hell?
then from your
Larry.
sleeves, you
gosh.
drop out a litter
Oh
of
my god.
tiny baseballs.
That was incredible.
That was fun. I like the
Oh.
story. Did you come up with that
That
yourself?
was
I
so
did.
good.
I like that. That's cute. I like that you picked
gosh.
polar bears since that's very apropos for our family.
Oh my gosh, that was awesome.
Well, thank you.
If you
That
had,
was great.
If
That's
you had
his
a
real
few-
debut.
you have the baby ones, so you could bring them back at the end for when they have their babies with a couple cubs. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know that they'd all fit.
That was good. Shit, Gary.
Jim's choked up. You got Jim
That was
choked
so
up.
good.
More.
So,
Wait, you had a third one, right?
I do have a third one. The third one is your anniversary